We are back on the Fiesta ST rebuild. If you're new to the channel, I bought this crash damaged Fiesta ST from auction, and now I'm on the road to rebuilding it. On the last video, we stripped the front end. So in case you missed it, click the link up here. We assessed the extent of the damage, but today, the rebuild begins. Now while the front end looks somewhat put together, except that there's no bumper or bonnet and zip ties holding up the intercooler, it's not in too bad of a shape. I managed to snap up a whole rad pack with intercooler as well. I got a really good deal on this. So I'm just going to strip out the intercooler and rad pack that's on the car and replace it with this one. To get the radiator pack out, the first step was to remove the air box and intake pipe, which you can see me doing here. Next, I take out the air box, which is held in with this screw, and the air box is pulled out. Then I'm under the car to drain the coolant. Now this was a super windy day, which is why I got coolant all over my face. Back on top of the engine bay, I'm disconnecting the top radiator hose, then the bonnet cable, and the wiring harness for the bonnet. Okay, let me show you what I've gotten up to. So I've removed all the wiring harnesses, and then it's just held by quite a few clips in a few different areas. So that's all been removed. Next step, let's take off this intercooler. The intercooler on this car was severely damaged in the accident, so I'll be replacing that. It's really simple, just disconnecting the hoses on both sides, and as mine is held by some zip ties, cutting them off. It's the intercooler off. Look at that. As the intercooler is off now, the next step was to tackle the crash bar. It was held in by 4 13mm bolts on each side, which are removed, and this was a bit awkward going at it alone, but I think I managed alright. By removing the crash bar, I got good access to the radiator assembly from the back, so I took off the fan to get off the plastic radiator cowling. Now that we've got this radiator cowling off, we can put the new one back on, well, the new one to me back on, and rebuild this thing. So this is where I noticed a little problem. So these plastic tabs hold the radiator in place to the plastic cowling, but one had snapped right off. So I decided to remove the original radiator too and swap it out for the new to me one. It was a little bit fiddly putting the radiator back on. But once all the slots were lined up, it just slid into place. Then the new cowling goes on with the crash bar, and once everything's lined up, I just screwed back all the bolts. I put on the new radiator and replaced the radiator cowling. Crash bar is back on. Let's put everything back together. Let's go. I've been looking forward to replacing this intercooler, and part of me did wonder whether I should have gone for an upgraded one. But for now, let's keep it OEM. So as I was bolting up this intercooler, I noticed that there was a little bit of an oil leak. It looks like it's coming from the sump pan. I think the last time it was dropped, it looks like someone's been there before. The gasket may have just started leaking a little bit. Let me show you what I can see. So I think that's where the oil leaks from. So it's just one of the bolts holding the suntan in. We're making good progress. Intercooler's on. Next up, I'm going to reconnect all the radiator hoses and put the coolant back in. Let's keep going. The wind has finally settled down now a little bit, so I can show you guys a little bit more. Really sorry about the shaky video quality, but we're doing what we can. Okay, I think we managed to get quite a lot done today. Let me show you where we're at. So we're at the top of the engine bay. Removed the air box. We had to disconnect quite a few lines just to get the whole rad pack out. So we've taken the rad pack out. So I've used the original, what I think is the AC condenser, but I did change the radiator because there was a few broken tabs. So managed to put everything back together now, just the air box that's missing, last few final connectors. And then just going to top up some coolant. Before refilling the coolant system and bleeding it, I made sure to reconnect the top coolant hose. Next I routed the bonnet cable back to where it needs to go. And then I put the air box back in and reused the old filter as it still looked really good. The air intake pipe goes back in with all the connectors, including the MAF sensor. And this was the sketchy part, refilling the coolant reservoir. I cracked open the bleeding nipple on top of the radiator to let out any air, and also topped up the reservoir until it was full. So that's it for today, guys. We've managed to do some good work. So we swapped out the radiator cowling. We also changed the radiator as well because there was a little bit of damage to it, and put in the new, to me, intercooler. So that's all sorted. Did notice a little bit of an oil leak. I think it's just coming from the gasket from the sump pan. So when the time comes to service the car, I'll be dropping the sump pan and replacing the gasket. So that should sort that problem. So thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe because next week we're going to be tackling this interior. All right, guys, that's it for now. Chewy out.